place in Samye Monastery. It's called the Samye debate. Some scholars say it's just a mythical story, it's not correct. It may not happen, right? But it seems like there's something happened there. So the period is like a 2-year period. It's took place for 2 years. It's not just one day event. So it was this summit was conducted by something written with Buddhism, and the debate between the one monk, the Chan monk, Hasang, Mohayan, and Amal Shira, those two. So today we will discuss on that. So first, what happened? So as soon as it was established, the Samye Monastery established, he invited not only Indian monks but also Chinese monks also invited. So both traditions, from Indian tradition and Chinese tradition, came to Tibet, and some Jain teacher also they were also invited. Among them, this one, Hasang Mohayan. So this person was actually teaching in the Dunghang before. So when Dunghang is a part of Tibet, right, when Songjong Gompo invaded there, conquered, and also conquered by Tristan at that time, 780. So he became, he came to Tibet and started giving teaching. Right? So Jain teaching is already popular in Tibet, right? And also Tibetan teaching was also popular. So now the problem is like the authority, which one is take place, who, like the supremacy, right? Who, Indian monks or Chinese monks? Right? So both want to get some kind of, they want to hold, they want to become like one of the authentic teaching in Tibet, right? Yeah. So there were, so the both traditions is introduced to Tibet. So now the dispute. So this whole Samye debate is on how to achieve the state of enlightenment. So that's the main topic of discussion, dispute. So the Indian tradition says that, so you have to have first you start meditation gradually, right? So gradual method versus sudden method. And you have the rational analysis of the basic practice of ethical conduct. So all the, so ethics, samatha and vipassana, right? Analytical, you have to analyze all thought process. When you meditate, you have to analytical meditation. Vipassana, you have to do it. So the step by step is recommended by Tibetan Buddhists, Indian Buddhist monks. But here, the Jain master, they have a little bit different way of approaching the state of enlightenment. So they believe that you just need to recognize the true nature of your mind. Right? You can skip whole five perfection also. So you don't have to follow all the step by step, even the ethical stuff. Right? So that's like you just focus directly in your nature of the mind. When you meditate, look at the essence of your nature of mind, and when you realize it, automatically you will get the enlightenment. So very similar like Dzogchen Mahabodha. But now we can discuss this later. So this, eliminating this perfection, 6 perfection practice, giving, morality, patience, and energy. Meditation, wisdom, a little bit, you have to practice when you practice it. But this giving, morality, patience, and energy, and these 4, you don't have to practice. So that's the Chinese version. And this become very big issue for the local people. And then what happened here? So then the king, so he little bit biased because he was trained by Santarachita, who is an Indian monk, and later Padmasambhava also came from actually not part of at that time there was no demarcation. So it's a Udiyana, which is also Indian side, Indian Pakistan. So he's biased, so he's trying to support Indian people, right? Then the Chinese groups, they start protesting. So what they did, some Tibetan Jain students, they gas their own body, like self-injury, and cross his own genitals. This is very scary. And Chinese teachers set fire on his arms. It's like self-immolation. So self-immolation took place. So they were very serious. And then even they try to kill, they went
King.
king. So the symbol is king. They went to see king armed with the knives and threatened to kill the Indian teachers at that time.
Different society.
And then did a collective suicide as well. So it's that bad. And this is part of the.
What is this likely historical, or what are the odds that that was invented by the victors?
Now,
Like if because the Indian school won, what are the chances that they framed?
yes. So there's two sides of it. Today we'll discuss this. So Chinese version and Tibetan fort. This is based on Tibetan fort. The Chinese version is a different story. Later we will also look at that one. And then so Sankarachita, when he's about to die, he gives some kind of prophecy that if there is some kind of conflict comes across when they passed away, then please invite this monk from Kamal Shila from Nalanda. He recommended that this person may be the best to solve any kind of issue, especially doctrinal issue. So now question arises, where is the Padmasambhava monk? Sanmya debate, he was not there. So there's two versions. One says there's some conflict, like the government, minister, and there's some conflict, and then Padmasambhava, he skillfully left the country at that time. He was not in the Tibet at that time, during the debate. And last week we saw, I wrote down all the dates, so he may have lived in Tibet forever. It's 90 years, 100 years. So, but at that time, during the debate, he was not present in Samya. He already left somewhere. So directly he is not involved in this debate. But the Kamal Shila, they invited. And so King wanted to solve it peacefully. So that's why he called the debate between these two parties. And he consulted with the abbot of the Samya and decided to do this formal debate. So he invited this Kamal Shila. So this debate took place around 792, 2 years, 794, 2-year debate. And so the Kamal Shila, so he was from Nalanda, but there's no definite information about his life, especially the parentage source, date of birth. But he was born around 17, but only Tibetan sources. But he was expert in tantras, and then later he wrote a book called Bhavanakram in Tibet. The first Sanskrit text written in Tibet is Bhavanakram.
About meditation, I think.
Yes. But he was one of the very popular professor in Nalanda. So Kamal Shila. So what happened during the debate? So the king, so when you debate take place, the king will be in the center. So the Kamal Shila, the great scholar, is in the right side. He was asked and represent the Indian side in the debate. And Mohoyan also side by side. Is set next to the king, two sides. So it's in the small temple at the Samya complex. It's inside the Samya. But this is just one day, but it took long. It's 2 years debate. So Mohan seated in his right side and Kamal Shila seated in the left side. Behind him, a disciple lined up in 2 rows. So now the debate started here. So they have no dispute about the doctrine, Buddhist doctrine, and Mahayana, like emptiness. There's no issue. The only issue, like they also accept that samsara was product of deluded thoughts and emotion, and both agree that ultimately there's no permanent and independent things. So they don't have any dispute regarding the main core doctrine. But how to get to enlightenment? That's the main. So form is emptiness forms also there, no problem. The question is that how to get to enlightenment. So now Mohan, he stepped in up and began a debate. So he put some very interesting thing he put here. So they're talking about the ordinary thought. Right? So this ordinary thought is like a, so when you do virtuous action and non-virtuous action, right? So it's like a black and a white cloud. So both action, both thought. So if you develop some good thought and then you develop some bad thought, both are like a black and a white cloud. Both bound to block the sun. So that's kind of the thought they develop. Right? So good thought also block the sun. Sun means enlightenment. Bad thought also block the sun. So you have to avoid good and bad, both. So that's a very interesting thing. Because both cover the sun, right? So you are not able to get enlightenment. So Buddhist teaching on the practice of virtue where for his dollar disciple. So that's also. So lots of people they think that all the early, especially Jataka stories for a dull student. It's not for a smart student. Right? So the sharpest is a student who has a sharp brain, could get straight to the point by abandoning that kind of black and white thought. Sorry. So very interesting. Right?
Yeah.
But I think 90s or 80s, Dalai Lama and the one Jain monk from Hakusan, Tamil Mountain, Sangin, they debated. Same thing, like the topic is same. And then the Sangin, he said, the Mohayan's this view is not aligned with the current Chan practices. So these thoughts are not correct, he said. So they have different view on the kind of disavow Mohayan view by the Zen master of Pakusan. So Sarkis could get this one thing. And then Kamal step up and he argued like, so he said these are all what he discusses against his scholarly training. So real wisdom come about through analytical insight. This is a vipassana. Right? So real wisdom will come through vipassana. We have to analyze it. Right? So to abandon analysis would be to cut off the wisdom at its roots. Right? So another thing he gave example like if somebody brain in coma, if somebody in coma, so he has no thought, is he enlightened? He has no thought, right? Good or bad, completely blocked. No thought, so he's not enlightened, right? So you cannot say that. Also somebody who fainted, if something fainted, there's no thought, right? He's not thinking about good or bad.
Yeah.
So that person is not enlightened. So practice of analytical insight, which is a vipassana, was in fact a way to transcend the concept. Right? So this is very important thing. So validity of concept as anything but conditioned level. So he actually commonly refuted or rejected Chinese teachers. So his argument is a state of non-conceptual necessity without analysis were not a genuine method. Right? So that's not a way to practice. So if you just completely no thought state, right, without analysis, you cannot get enlightenment. So this is just a result in a state of akin to that someone who has fainted or practiced as he put it of stupidity. So now the question is, if you have no thought, so if you try to strive for the no thought to get enlightenment, is it possible? You just keep your like 100% just focus on the non-thought, right? Non-conceptualization, without analysis. That's not a way, is it? But Chan then I think people misunderstood. Right? Like they said, just sit. Right? That koan, lots of koan, like people misinterpret it. There's lots of things behind the story we don't see that. Right? Chan they have so many rules, moral, they have to practice Vinaya. People think that, oh, they don't do anything. So the people, they just read some poem and then think that, oh, that's the way to practice. But I think the Chandras, they have more Vinaya than other people completely, they don't pay attention to what they practice. Right? And lots of moral practice too, they have to go through. So later, so debate was concluded, and then the king says something and give a decree that the Tibetan, they awarded the Victoria is to award it to the Indian side. But it's lots of people, they said this biased result. The result was the temple, so from now on, they banned the same, that Mohoyan, right, Assam. They banned him and asked him to exile. And also, they stopped, nobody allowed to practice the Zen in Tibet. Right? Instantly, they rejected it. And then made like Indian tradition, Indian teachings are authentic, authorized, it's become authentic tradition from now on. So by extent, the Buddhist scripture from India would be preferred over from the China. So this decision caused so this he decreed, this decree. From now on, the teaching of Muslims should be banned. The member of Chinese. So here, there are two stories here. So one, so this is one in Tibetan story here. So this monk Hassan immediately, so he accepted defeat, but he took his own life. Like he was embarrassed. He committed suicide with his follower. So this is one story. But the Chinese story says, actually he got a blessing from the Tristan and he just left country without any kind of no fight or nothing. He just left the country. So this is the Chinese version. The Chinese version says the conclusion is simple, giving his blessing to the Chinese teachers. So no dispute. So it's very friendly, they left. But now the modern scholar, they question whether debate even really took place or not. Or just a series of discussion or literary exchange. So this debate actually, the timeline they give like 2000, like 2 years, like 92 to 94, a very long debate. It must have, it's just like an exchange of discussion, a series of discussion on it. This is very likely, right? Because 2 year long, how the debate won't last that long. Even in like a Keshalara, but this debate is just lasts for a few days. But I think this is very likely that there's a long series of discussion took place in that 2 year time frame. So now to look at the Bhavanakram. So this Bhavanakram was written down as soon as the debate finished. They didn't show the Tristan. So he requested a commentator to write this, what you have discussed in the debate. So please write it down. It will be the main textbook for future generation. So then he composed that. Composed this text. It has a 3 chapters. So first chapter discusses about the bodhicitta, how to practice bodhicitta, compassion, right? And the second chapter it focuses on the samatha, vipassana practice. And the third chapter, like union of samatha and vipassana. So it's very systematically he discussed all the Indian tradition of meditation, and it became one of the hallmark. So still like in Tibet, so they still use this text for meditation. And this is the first ever Sanskrit text written in Tibet, on the soil of Tibet. And then second person who composed Sanskrit texts in Tibet is the Sakya Pandita. So his Sanskrit is so good, so he can also. And then the third one, I heard Tsongkhapa also composed something in Tibet, Sanskrit language. So this was one of the still very popular district. So Kamal Shila then it didn't last long, right? So after he finished that book, so there's a surviving disciple of the Hasang, the monk. So this is another the Tibetan version. The Chinese version is different. Kamal Shila was they hired somebody, the disciple of the, not Hasang directly involved because he already passed away. He killed himself. But the disciple of his monk hired somebody and Chinese assassin to kill him. And they murdered him by squeezing his kidney. It was very gross. In Tibet, it's very barbaric, right? So he passed away. But Krishna doesn't, he didn't stop after Tibet. So he kept his mission alive and he keeps sending invitations to all over, not only India, but in Nepal, or neighboring country, and brought lots of people and made a team to translate the Buddhist texts, Sanskrit Buddhist texts into Tibetan. So this is like the first mission they completed, and they translated more than 300 volumes. 300 volumes. And this first division of that. Then he passed away. Right? Then Krishna has 3 sons, and 3 sons also like there's one son is very good, and then killed by his own murder. Very dramatic, like a movie style. He's a murder. Krishna's wife wanted like another son to become a king, but his first son got killed. By murder, and then later. But Padmasambhava, he was there until like he blessed one of the son, Krishna's son, to become king. So he was there during the interment of his son. And after that, Padmasambhava made disappeared. They went to the upper Color Mountain. So now, then the next king is called Sri Rinpoche, King Rinpoche. So Rinpoche is the incarnation of the Vajrapāṇi. So the first one is
Manjusri.
Avalokitesvara. Sontangapa is Avalokitesvara. And then Trishan is Manjusri. And this one is Vajrapāṇi. But he was very...
All are Bodhisattva, right?
Very devoted, all of us. So he was very devoted. So he has a long hair. So when monks come to his court, so he just lay down his hair and let monks sit on his head. So that kind of devotion here.
Yeah.
But one thing his the weakness is like he opened his like all the gate, like he spent too much money on the Buddhist project.
Yeah.
So he didn't care about you have to spend some for your
Too much devoted.
Completely open, like a Visantara Jataka.
Yeah.
Visantara Jataka. He opened all his
Everything wanted.
exhausted all the money. Right?
Yeah.
So he also did exactly the same. He did so many projects, Buddhist projects, and he also made a Buddhist as a actually already other king already made the Buddhist as one of the national religion. But he made so many rules. One rule is like if you have a 3-4 son, you have to make one monk, right? And also 3-4 household need to support one monk.
Yeah.
So you have like a responsibility to spend some money to a monastic community, right? That kind of obligation. You are obliged to support the monasticism. But some people they didn't like it, right? some, because too much,
Yeah. Someone
lots
thinking
of
they're
money.
wasting money.
It's a waste of money, but from his perspective, he's like supporting Buddhism.
Yeah.
So because of that, some opposition, right? The opposition team, they dislike him, and then they form some kind of a group to kill him, assassination, involving his own brother. So his brother is not religious, Lang Dharma. So he spent all the money and also built so many projects without looking at his budgets. Where he start building grand projects of the Buddhist monasteries. So when he died, some monastery projects just abandoned. Didn't complete it. So he's in charge of the the trusted guy. Right? He Alvasen main guy. But so there's some rumors that he may have slept with one of the queen. So because after that, he heard it. The king heard that his minister, monk minister, who may have slept with his wife. Then he exiled him. So he was permanent to exile. He sent to exile. And after that, there's no trusted person in the court. So his brother is taking planting the assassination. So he had affairs with his queen. And he's become more isolated, and his brother, my name is Dharma, later it became Lang Dharma.
Lang Dharma.
Dharma Udin. So his other minister, and they are become more responsible. So then one time they invited him for tea. Actually drinking beer. They arranged to see king while he was staying in a castle outside the Lhasa. And then they were drinking beer, enjoying the sunshine in the garden. Then this Landharma and their people twisted his hair until his neck snapped. It was very gruesome. Killed, right? So that's the end of the Buddhist, the early diffusion of the Buddhist after he passed away. And this Lang Dharma, so this guy, so his nickname is Lang, and also the ox. So he was fond of wine and hunting party. So he's like a non-virtuous guy, villain. So after that, he took over. So he ruled Tibet for 3 years. And during that 3 years, so he completely, like the monastic community, right? They forced them to disrobe. There was lots of torture, massacre, and also the temple. So all the projects started by Trishan and the Rinpoche stopped. They abandoned, not completed. So translation. So translation bureau also stopped at that time. Before they were translating lots of texts, now completely stopped. And shut down colleges. Lots of colleges they established, trained translator, all the thousands of Buddhist speakers they brought from India also they stopped. And this is one big project that Rinpoche started, left without the profession of the final consecration. So one monastery finished, but no consecration, and they just abandoned. And after that, so lots of people disrobe because they don't have a choice. It's very hard to survive. And then one of the abbot of Samir, night abbot, his name is Balgi Dorje. So he now planted the assassination plan, right? So this king, if he stayed for a long time, the Buddhism completely disappeared from it. Right? So now they have to do something. So he planted a plant. So he wanted to kill this Langarma. And during the one festival, not festival, like the dance took place in front of the court. And then he disguised himself as a dancer. And he danced in front of the Langarma. But he wear a big rope, right? And he hit the ball. And he did the prostration, 3 times prostration in front of the king, right? And third time, he shoot arrow and immediately died. So it's very skillfully killed Lander. But he was a good dancer. I think the king saw his dance and immediately summoned him to come to see him. But that summon caused him the death of the Lander. So now, but this monk, this abbot of the Same, didn't see as a killing of this as a non-conscious action because he wanted to save the Buddhism. Right? It's not intentional. It's intentional, but derived from. He want to save the Buddhism, right? It's not from the hatred. Right? So he see it's not from and it's not like an inful action. Right? He think that this is a skillful means to save the Buddhism in Tibet. So what he did, like when he came to this palace, so he disguised as a black hat dealer dancer, and he is ample in sleep and bored. And then one thing, it's an interesting thing. So he chose a white horse, a black coat with a white charcoal coat, and he put a fur coat that was white on the outside and black on the inside. So when he sought the temple, so he saw that I am a black spirit. One he came outside and he again go through the lake and washed all the old dust from the coat of his horse. So he painted horse as black and then washed later and turned his coat inside out and declared, I am the white spirit of the sky. But he never returned to the Lhasa. So now the question is like, is it too late? So after 3 years, 3 years of the no dharma period at that time. So, but the king, this Langarma said something very interesting. Oh, why was I not killed 3 years ago to save me committing so much sin? Or here, so now here it says, or 3 years hence, that I might have rooted Buddhism out of the land. So that means there's still something left, not completely wiped out at that time. But lots of things already he destroyed, right, during the 3 years. So at the time, so after he passed away, no sect appears to have existed. Right? So no Nigmapa, no Kagyapa, no Gelopa, nothing. Right? It's just an old tradition still going on, and it's not called Nigma yet. So it's lasted for this no dharma period, right? Lasted for a century and a half. So it started in 8th century up to 1042. So that period, people still practice, but there's no, the government doesn't support, right? So the second diffusion, then later, the sectarian movement seems to date the information start from the Indian Buddhist monk Atisa. So second diffusion, so we will focus on next week. It started when Atisa was invited to Tibet again by King Esheo. The Esheo, he started. So we need something again from India. The Buddhism, the revival of Buddhism in Tibet. So we need to invite Pandita from India. So he invited, but it was not easy, right? So there's lots of, so whenever Tibetan monks go to India to invite monks, they must bring some gold, right? Jewelry, gold. So to accumulate that gold, the Tibet, also very difficult to get. So they have to spend so much effort. So they brought gold and gave to the Atisa's temple, and then Atisa agreed to go to the Tibet. There's lots of story between that. It's very not easy. There's lots of effort. People die on the way. The one monk died, and also king himself put him. It's captured by other ducats. And they took all the gold. So very interesting story. Next week we'll focus on. Okay, so now let's see. Oh, let's discuss the way we went for that. I put lots of questions on there. So in what way did political culture institutional factor influence the outcome of some debate? Anyone? Yeah, okay, let's start.
I actually have like not a comment that's a direct answer to the question, but just a comment
Yeah,
about.
sure. Anyone?
I'm curious if it's possible is more of a